Okay, so welcome back. So this is our last video for this plastic waste management course. So hope you survived the course so far. Good. So we will carry our discussion on the case studies of circular economy and plastic, as we were trying to discuss the concept of circular economy, which is one of the newer concept, and of course the plastic waste is also a newer concept. So let's continue. So there are if you think about that, if we can recycle this plastic from different, this was a UNIDO report, and you have the copy of the report as part of the reading material. So it talks about that if you can take all the plastics which is there in globally present, and if we can recycle it properly and use it for whatever cannot be recycled can be used for waste to energy purposes, we can save nearly 14 million tons of CO2 emissions. As you know, CO2 emissions, the carbon dioxide emissions, is considered the global warming, which is we have the climate change, the areas which used to doesn't get too hot are becoming hotter year by year. Our temperature is becoming higher, and we are also, it's climate change, actually global warming sometimes confuses people. Global warming thinks that things are getting warmer. It's actually the more better term is the climate change. Things may get hotter as well as can get colder. So it is the extreme temperature events or extreme rain events which we see happening in our Indian context as well. We said some like rain last year we had during the rainy season, this past rainy season, we had the extreme rain events at several places, flooding. Recently, a few years back, we had that big event in Uttarakhand where a lot of damage was there. So with all this climate change, whether it's because of the CO2 emissions, carbon dioxide emissions, it is a greenhouse gas, it creates an impact on the environment. Our global climate changes are there. Some of them are man-made, some of them are like a natural as well. So natural events also leads to these changes, and Mother Nature keeps on adjusting to that. But that's climate change, global warming is a huge topic, will not go in great detail there, but what we want to illustrate by this particular slide over here is that if we can manage this plastic properly, we can save 14 million tons of CO2 emissions. We can avoid 14 million tons of CO2 emissions. And then here it talks about in terms of metric ton of CO2 equivalent that is coming out. So we can go for if it is done properly, it can reduce the GHG emissions by nearly 7.97 metric ton of CO2. And similarly here, direct GHG emissions by 2025, avoided GHG emissions and the net GHG emission will be in the negative, and that includes if we collection, sorting, transport, recycling, energy recovery, landfill, which landfill will create some emissions, substitution of virgin by recycled plastic, that will be avoided emissions, energy recovery will be avoided emissions. So these will be kind of where we will see the emissions happening because of the collection events, sorting, transport, recycling, energy recovery, where we will have some in landfilling, will have some direct emissions as well. But if we can substitute virgin by recycled plastic, if we can do energy recovery from plastic, that will save lot of greenhouse gas emissions, and then net emissions will be more in terms of a saving of close to 14 million tons. So that's a lot of saving in terms of greenhouse gas if we can manage plastic waste properly. And if you manage the whole waste, different types of waste properly, of course you will have more. So what we need to do to achieve that, we have to harmonize and improve the collection system. We have to improve the collection system, we have to improve the recyclability, we have to improve the quality of mechanical recycle and design guidelines for all of these, and create a kind of systems effect, create a pull effect, bring all of these different thoughts together to create an effect so that plastic waste is managed in a better way to create this reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Better product design, this is for example makes plastic recycling easier. If you can design the product easy, say if you have a simple material, this if we can have a container which is all are just, say for example this could be entirely made out of HDPE or like one particular type of plastic. So, if it is just one type of plastic, it is easy to recycle. If it has multiple plastic blended together, it becomes difficult to recycle. So, if you can do that, if you can make plastic recycling easier, you save 77 to 120 euros for each ton for plastic waste collected. So, that is a lot of for each ton you are saving close to, if you take the average of these two, close to around 100 euro per ton. So, that is a like significant amount of money. So, 100 euros per ton can be saved for each ton of plastic waste collected if the material is simple. If it is a simple material, it is a simple design. It may not, the thing is that it may not look very cool, it does not look very appealing, but it is easy to recycle. So, we have to come up with a optimization where things look appealing, at the same time it should be easy to recycle as well. We should not just to make things look like fancy, we should not lose the recyclability of that. So, based on this in terms of the other case study, earlier we looked at Unilever. Now, if you look at from the European Union, and as you know from environmental aspect, European Union is one area where they work on most of these environmental activities, environmental initiative, it happens in European Union first. So, a vision for Europe's new plastic economy, they are looking at a smart, innovative, sustainable plastic industry where design and production fully respects the need of reuse, repair and recycling. So, the design will keep into aspect that whatever we produce, it should be easy to reuse, repair as well as recycle, and bring growth of jobs to Europe. Cut EU's greenhouse gas emission, as you saw earlier. If we can really do it better, we can cut greenhouse gas emission. And so, they come up with certain goals that by 2030 all plastic packaging placed on EU market is either reusable and can be recycled in a cost effective manner. It is not only to be recycled, it should be recycled in a cost effective manner, because many things are recycled theoretically, but practically they are not. So, with say multi-layer plastics and other stuff, people can make that okay, we can take different layers away separate, and then each layer can be recycled. Yes, theoretically it is correct, but practically it does not happen because it becomes too costly to recycle that. So, the goal is to have either reusable and can be recycled in a cost effective manner by 2030. Changes in production and design, higher plastic recycling rates for all key application. More than half of plastic waste generated in Europe is recycled, that is what they want. More than 50% of the plastic waste in Europe should be recycled, and sorting and recycling capacity has to increase. So, that if that happens, will create 200,000 new jobs spread all across Europe. In Indian context, we are talking about jobs, that whether we have the proper job data, what is our really job figure. There is a lot of discussion going on in India in terms of job, in terms of the data, but we also there are issue of people not able to find good quality jobs. So, if we can it will take time, and things are that there is a stigma attached in India in our country related to waste management sector. We think that that's not like, well, I can produce the garbage, but I should not touch it after I produced it. So, but the waste management sector can bring in lots of good quality green jobs if we can implement proper technology, newer technology, and it does not have to be, most of these recycling business is not really that dirty. If you look at, we showed you some videos in this class, and if you look at on YouTube, there are several videos on this class, and you can several videos available related to plastic recycling, paper recycling, metal, aluminum and all those recycling, and you can see that people like they were mostly diploma holders or sometimes even bachelor degree engineers, and those people are running those plants, and they are, because it is totally automated plant, and but still that requires people. And we can have labor related jobs there as well. We can since we have a huge population, we need all kinds of job. So, it is it can create a lot of job, and at the same time we can recycle those material and bring it back to the economy. We don't have to worry about this landfills, we don't have to worry about this plastic going into rivers, Ganga and all that. And so that's kind of it would be a win-win situation for if we invest in that area. Again, as I said in one of the previous video, with the Swachh Bharat mission, a lot of awareness has come into general public, but it is a high time now to really build the infrastructure to support that awareness, because awareness is good, but we need infrastructure in place, we need systems in place to really implement those policies, so that we can do that source segregation, we can do the recycling, and that will only happen if we have those kind of infrastructure. Means that we should have a proper collection system, proper collection truck, people are trained, we have companies which can recycle this plastic or paper or glass. So managing waste management companies needs to come up pretty much in every town and cities in India. We need a lot of infrastructure development is required, and huge investment is required, which needs some sort of government support. If we think that everything can be done by the private sector, especially in a waste management area, it doesn't really work. It has not worked in if you look at the history of waste management in every country where it is working nicely today, you will see that government was involved at least in first few decades, and then they gradually backed off and left it to the private sector, because it takes time to make money, and private sector needs to make money really fast, because we don't have big player who can afford to not make money for several years and still be in the business, and because those are the practical stuff, and we need to take those into consideration. Again, in Europe, more plastic recycling will help Europe's dependence on reduce dependence on imported fossil fuel, cut CO2 emissions. Export will rise with a global demand for more sustainable way of processing end of life plastic. Innovative solutions are developed to prevent microplastics from reaching the seas. EU is taking a leading role in global dynamic, with countries engaging and cooperating, halt the flow of plastic into the ocean and taking remedial action. Market for recycled innovative plastic is successfully being established to clear growth perspective. So that's where it's incorporate some recycling content there as well. New plastic economy is coming up, eliminate problematic or unnecessarily plastic packaging and move from single use to reuse packaging model. 100% plastic packaging can be easily and safely reused, recycled or composted by 2025. So that's the goal is there. Circulate the plastic produced by significantly increasing the amount of plastic reused or recycled, made into new packaging or products. What is UK? There is a UK Plastic Pact as well, which is looking at they are looking at British Plastic Federation which is who is a signee has signed this signatory of UK Plastic Pact. They bring together entire plastic value chain, has set a target for 2025 that 100% of plastic packaging to be reusable, recyclable, compostable, 70% will be effectively recycled. Take action to eliminate problematic or unnecessary single-use packaging from the. So 30% of average recycled content across all plastic packaging. So by 2025. So these are like good goals. Good even if they achieve, say even they achieve 60, 70, 80% of that. That's a huge progress, and then rest can be achieved as well. But we have to work towards this particular goal. Not just make the goal, but we have to work towards that goal. And zero plastic packaging to landfill, all the plastic has to be recycled by 2030. Most leading brands have already committed to using only reusable, recyclable, compostable by 2025. And then it's a UK Plastic Pact, which is this is British Plastic Federation, which is the government, which is the industry organization. So that's what we need. We need industry on board when we make these kind of policies. In country like India, we don't do that. We just we just make an announcement that okay, by this date we will stop using single use plastic. Okay, good, but who will do that? It's the industry who will do that. It's the industry who will come up with the alternatives. Are they really ready for it? Can they really do it by 2022 or 2020, whatever? So we need to get the industry on board before we make this policy decision. So that's what all the stakeholders needs to be together. And then we need to have this is because everybody is, it's not government's responsibility, everybody is involved, everybody should be involved, and that's what you see mostly happening in European, wherever those countries where they trying to make progress in this area. They are looking at highest level of consistent with best environmental practice. So and they are also minimizing plastic from entering the sea from the UK. We will all develop a comprehensive plan to significantly reduce plastic other items leaking from UK into the wider environment. So, as I mentioned to you earlier, we will be doing some work with National Geographic this summer, where we will be looking at how much plastic is leaking into River Ganga from all the way from Gomukh to West Bengal, like Ganga Sagar area, that how much plastic is really leaking into River Ganga, and those will try, like of course we will publish that later on in some form or other, so you will have that access to you as well. There are certain reforms. They will create extra funding. Of course, everything requires funding, so they were funding the reward good design. So, having a design kind of encourage people to design better stuff, help development of recycling systems. So, those things are there. What is PR? They developed a PRN system, which is the packaging recovery notes and certificates, and then they also packaging export recovery notes. So, they are issued to recyclers and bought directly from them via compliance scheme. They provide evidence of recovery and recycling. So, basically they are making it some sort of documentation to make sure that it is really happening, because whenever you have a goal, you have to document that whether you are going towards that goal or not. So, these are some of those initiatives in that particular areas. In terms of PRN reforms, they are looking at companies producing difficult to recycle packaging. They have to pay the same as those producing easy to recycle packaging. So, they have to. So, right now money raised is not invested in a strategic fund. So, that is they are thinking that system will encourage export of material, whereas a split target between UK and rest of the world to discourage this. So, they are trying to recover. This is not an ideal way. So, they are trying to work on and reform it. So, those who are making easy to recycle, they should get incentive. Those who are making plastic which is not easy to recycle, they should have some sort of penalty. So, those kind of things are there. There is some split recycling target operation. UK is 60%, and then UK wants to rest of world recycling is right now 40%, and then gradually UK wants to go towards 100% recycling within UK, and then 0% sending it to outside. So, that is what the goal in terms of British like a United Kingdom or UK. The different British Plastic Foundation, this comes from there, where they are looking at polymer suppliers, retailers, brand, waste management companies, that they have they are selling this PRN or PRN to products. 1 ton of recycle in UK is 0.8 PRN, which is so recycling processing material in UK have to remove contaminated and non-target material before issuing a PRN. It is issued for weight of an entire unshorted bale, encouraging companies to export rather than recycle in UK. So, that is what they want to work on, not to do that, because they want to recycle within their own country. So, the plastic industry and voluntary commitments. So, this Vinyl Plus is a voluntary sustainable development program for European PVC industry, where they are looking at like a drain and soil pipes available with a core that contains at least 50% is recycled material. So, here they have 50% recycled material, and they were developed to help construction industry lower carbon footprint. So, pipes are available in popular sizes, and they have the same characteristics as the virgin plastic. So, it has to be good. Increased use of recycled material makes product offers a practical solution. So, you can recycling it, and multi-layer pipe with a second solid layer of recycled plastic is there as well. So, those things are happening by different companies out there. So, this is one example of that. Chemical recycling is also happening, where chemical recycling provides recycling solution for residual plastic waste. So, they are chemically being recycled. A modular chemical recycling machine that reduces plastic waste into plaques. Plaques is actually it's a product which it's a feedstock for a steam cracker. It can also be starting point for production of plastic as well as industrial wax. So, it turns plastic back into cracker or feedstock. Virgin quality polymers can be produced containing this recycled material. Then Coreto Cup, which is another steam molding UK award winning process. They are doing some injection mold products by about reduces the weight by 10%. It uses a small amount of water as a blowing agent injected into the modified nodule. So, benefits are of course the material cost saving, significant environmental benefits of reducing, because you are using 10% less plastic, the amount of plastic used in product without affecting reuse and recycle. So, its vast majority of that on the go cup used by coffee shops and fast food restaurants are not recycled. So, it is becoming increasingly an environmental impact. So, this cup satisfies both consumer and environment, because it is 100% recyclable, and it has a core, foam core walls to retain heat internally and prevent scalding externally. So, it does the purpose. Manufactured in single polypropylene plastic. So, it is one particular type, high quality, cost effective, reusable cup, and then of course, its sustainable demand as well. So, that was on UK, and other example, if you look at Ontario, which is in Canada, they were looking at strategy for waste free Ontario. We will go through this a little fast. You have those materials available as a reading material as well. So, they are looking at trying to go towards circular economy. They part of Ontario Act, Waste Free Ontario Act. There are two things: the resource recovery and circular economy, and waste diversion. Again, moving towards a circular economy with extended producer responsibility regime. So, what they do, essentially they are trying to look at resource recovery and waste reduction, provide overreaching government, establish full producer responsibility, making producer environmentally accountable, financially responsible, establish resource productivity and recovery authority. So, again, as I was telling you, this is again, the government is not just leaving everything to the private parties. The government is setting up an authority which will oversee the producer's performance. So, there will be like a small quasi government body which will facilitate of all these implementation of these rules, and they will look at transition from current waste diversion program to new producer responsibility framework. Waste diversion program was trying to keep things away from landfill, and so these are now merged under this Resource Recovery and Circular Economy Act. So, it's once this is in force, existing programs they operate will those waste diversion programs will actually merge with it. So, they will no longer be active. So, the vision here is to where waste is seen as a resource. So, it is again to recover, reuse and reintegrate it to achieve circular economy. Goal is to achieve a zero waste Ontario or zero greenhouse gas emission from the waste sector. So, 30% diversion is the waste which is not going to the landfill. 30% in 2020, 50% by 2030, 80% by 2050. So, again they are not just saying that in 2 years we will not send anything to landfill. Even a country like province like Ontario, which has been working on waste management for more than 40, almost 40 years now, they are also not saying zero landfill from tomorrow. Unfortunately, in India we do that. So, because these things do take time. So, they are saying 80% diversion by 2050. So, they do realize that 20% of the waste will still be going to landfill, because it is the technological limitation, the infrastructure limitation which hampers. You can come up with a lofty goal which is an unrealistic goal, and then you will not meet that goal anyway, because it's unrealistic to start with. But if you have a realistic goal and if you work towards that goal, the chances of meeting that goal is much easier. So, that is what you see in most these kind of strategies. That is the reason I picked up these examples, which are kind of these places, whether it's UK it's okay, but Ontario is better, and Unilever initiative is of course much better. So, that is why these examples have been taken into consideration. So, here the goal here, these are and it is coming from that document. So, you can read this from that document. I will not read line by line, but the basic thing is that they want to have provincial direction and oversight. So, there will be a provincial government office which will take care of that, create conditions so that sustainable end market. So, the government will help create those conditions. So, improve the environmental standards, make the policy in such a way, enable efficient and effective recovery system, work on the waste collection infrastructure, increase waste reduction and resource productivity. So, that is try to have new materials which ensures producers are fully responsible, implement action plan, implement access soil management policy framework, adopt and implement modern regulatory approach. So, those are again the government's initiative in these areas to have kind of zero waste or circular economy approach. So, right now there is it's kind of these how they will progress. This is kind of their goal, interim goal of 30% diversion. The following timeline will guide towards waste free Ontario. So, right now they are looking at forced and food and organic. So, this is not only for plastic waste, this is kind of more general. Plastic waste is also a part of that. So, resource recovery, food waste recovery, implement the develop a disposal ban like food waste ban, material existing waste diversion. So, which started in 2018. Then they are looking at 3R regulation which will come this year. Then by 2020 they have complete transition of existing waste diversion program to this circular economy framework. So, this is how they will move in terms of achieving a waste free Ontario. And from 2021 onwards, as you can see, up to 2050 they will implement disposal bans for then complete Blue Books program. Blue Books is a recycling program. Then there will be producer responsibility regulations, comprehensive review of a strategy, then finally looking for zero waste, which is a goal of around 80%, and then it by 2050 and then zero waste after that. Zero waste means no waste going to the landfill. It does not mean zero waste being produced. So, as you can see, there are a lot of they go for resource productivity, and policy is registry and data capacity. In efficient recovery system, move from newer kind of approach, less dependency on landfill, promotion and educational requirement, establish service provider requirement, looking at resource reuse, recycle. So, those things will come in picture. Again, you have this copy of this policy in your reading material. Increase waste reduction, improve resource productivity, where they will look at the newer material, easier material to recycle, reduce the volume of food and organic waste, implement excess soil management, which we talked about, and build innovative best practices, create conditions for sustainable end market, where because you have to make end market so that you can recycle, you can sell this kind of stuff. So, there are the thing is done. So, this was in Ontario things. This is another example from Austria, which is in Western Europe. So, circular economy of plastic packaging, which is they looked at in terms of how it is being done in Austria. So, they do the material flow analysis for total waste in Austria. So, you can see for the different types of bottles here. So, PET bottle, hollow bottles, small, large, films, different types of plastic film. So, here the different quantities, PET, hollow bodies, hollow, large, small. So, this is how much it is being generated. Then it is separately collected waste. So, waste supply, then it goes to the sorting, which is it's sorted out. Part of it does end up in the municipal solid waste. So, it is, and from municipal it goes to the waste to energy plant. Austria, Vienna has one of the world's best waste to energy plant. So, plastic is mechanically recycled. There are some industrial incineration, and there is some waste to energy plants, and then there is some part of it mechanical pre-treatment as well, and then little bit of it also ends up in the landfill. So, they looked at the entire waste package plastic in terms of how the plastic is moving in the system. So, these kind of studies are very, very useful. We can and again, for all these we require good quality data. One thing we need to really work on is having better data quality, better data, not only on jobs. I am just have a joke here, not only on the jobs data, which is making a lot of news. We are having, and of course there are issues with the jobs data. There are, of course, we have a poor data, and same thing, we have poor data in almost all sectors. In environmental sector also our data is very poor. So, as you can see over here, they can track the movement of plastic. Why this is important? This is not to create this fancy graph for a paper or a publication or for your thesis or for your project report. This helps us to identify where are the issues. So, as the plastic is moving into this chain, where are the issues that we can address to make it more environmental friendly? Why there is a leakage? Why there is so much of plastic is going into the landfill? So, first we need to know how much is going to the landfill. So, of the different things that is happening with the plastic waste, what percentage goes to different sectors, that is very, very important to know. And once we have those data, then we can design a remedy for it. So, first, to understand any disease, you need to do the blood test and urine test. Doctors cannot write prescription without having proper diagnostic. If any doctor writes you a prescription without having proper diagnostic, If he is very experienced, sometimes we do have those kind of doctors, based on their experience they do that, but in general you need to have proper diagnostic done in terms of blood test, urine test, X-ray, whatever, CT scan, depending on the type of disease you may have. Then if you get that prescription is more reliable. So unfortunately, we many times we just write the prescription without understanding the problem, and so this picture is understanding of the plastic issue in Austria, and as you can see, it has been nicely done. So that's the reason I wanted you to show that we need to create these kind of graphs for every state in India, maybe big cities in India, Delhi, Bombay, all those, we can create these graphs and you can see where are the problems, so that we can address those issues. Otherwise we will be just shooting arrows in dark. So then again, this is the more detail, LDPE, LLDPE, polystyrene, EPS, PET, PVC, similar graphs for different and where things are being ending up. So similar stuff, I will not spend too much time. So if you look at comparison of collection, sorting and recycling, collected is light gray, then like at the bottom is the recycle part, then we have the collection, and then on top is sorting. So as you can see, more and more PET bottles, large films are recycled, and hollow bodies hollow bodies small, they are also collected and sorted, but it's the recycling rate is a bit low compared to PET bottles or large films. So this is again what is happening with that plastic, so that we can look at wherever is the lacuna in terms of why it has been not recycled, we can start working on it. So they also looked at the efficiency of the collection, sorting and recycling process for the different types of plastics, different types of stuff. As you can see, again PET has pretty high recycling efficiency. Hollow bodies is small also, because they were not collected properly and sorted properly, but amount out of what PET bottle is kind of high in almost all three, in all three they are pretty high, but if for others, as you can see, the collection efficiency seems to be low for hollow body small and hollow body large. It's okay for film small and also EPS large, but for certain areas our collection is small, efficiency is low, in certain cases sorting efficiency is low. So those where we have as you can see over here, collection efficiency and the sorting efficiency, which is the collection is this one, sorting is this one for each one of those. So as you can, so we can identify the bottlenecks and then we can try to address those issues. So that's that is helpful in terms of and then you can look at final treatment of the product. Similarly, whether it is going to the landfill, industrial incineration, you can waste to energy is a big thing in Austria. So you see that red color is waste to energy, the blue one is regranulate, recycle, and light the top one, which is this part is on the top one, this part is our on top, not here, not this side. So this is our industrial incineration, used directly in incineration, and landfills is that light green which you see on the top, a little bit on top here, that's the landfill. So that's on the top, which is very low amount is going to the landfill. Lot of it is going to the waste to energy plant, because Austria has like big waste to energy plants. So that's kind of summarizes the different case studies. So we'll just look at some kind of take home messages. So conclusion from the European Union. So proposed target by European Union, major steps is needed in terms of collection and sorting. These targets look at with respect to amount of waste in the input of mechanical are not completely in line with the overall objective. Basically keeping materials in the economy to prevent loss. Accurately assess the performance, they have to look at the targets with respect to actual output of the recycling process. So those, some of the limitations are there. They have to look at the environmental performance from a current plastic waste management as with respect to increasing targets, moving beyond mass based indicator. With respect to environmental performance, they should look at environmental performance as well. A major objective of circular economy is to reduce environmental impact of the production and consumption system. So that needs to be incorporated in this kind of a study too. So overall, it's in terms of this particular video or this particular week, we are trying to build. There is a lot of incentive in terms of a lot of approaches are being used, a lot of initiatives have been taken to build economies of to support projects, initiatives that promote economics of recycling infrastructure. This holistic approach is needed. It is not only companies to come up with their own material, but it's the entire system of collection, recycling, the systems approach. Think local as well as global. So that's important because we are all connected. So plastic waste causes global pollution, but solution needs to be delivered at a local level. So if there are a long lasting impact, so intervention should always reflect localized infrastructure, which will vary around the globe. So because if we come up with, if we design an intervention based on European infrastructure and try to implement in India, that doesn't work. Unfortunately, some of our waste management rules do that. So that's what we need to look at, our local infrastructure, and then design our solution accordingly. Collaborate to innovate. Collaboration between suppliers, packaging manufacturer, brand owners to bring the circular economy, and always think long term. Companies have to will to invest for a longer term. Significant commercial reward will be there, but again I will say that for the initial years they do need support. They do need support from the government hand holding, and government has to act as a facilitator for bringing all the stakeholders together. So with that we have looked at this course. So thank you. I think I hope you enjoyed the course. I did. I did enjoy putting this material together. As I said in the very beginning of the course, there is no textbook. This is a brand new topic. I think this is the only course of this nature in India right now, being offered anywhere in any institute in India. So that's the reason we wanted to put this course, and so that we can all learn together. And I'm still learning every day. There is newer things are coming up on plastic waste. Whether you follow Facebook or news articles or Google or YouTube, everywhere there are a lot of newer and newer information is coming. So again, this course is just a starting point. This is by taking this course, you are not an expert of plastic waste management. I am not an expert of plastic waste management as well. So I am also learning. So we are all, this is a lifelong learning kind of, because things are moving so rapidly, newer and newer stuff is coming in. So few years down the line, many of the things we talked about will have a different perspective, because new things will come up in the market, new kind of discussion will come, newer technologies will come as well. So I hope that many of you will be part of those new technologies. Again, thank you very much, and I hope I was able to do justice to you for this course. I tried my best. Thank you. And maybe I'll see you again in some other course in future.